guys, my name is Trinh and today I'm here to do a book review and discussion for City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. So today we're talking about City of Heavenly Fire, which is the last and final book of the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. This is actually my second time reading this book. The first time I read this book was back in 2013, so no, it's back in 2014 when this book first came out. I believe it's May of 2014. Oh my god, this is different. Oh my god, I read this book when it first came out, so it's the start of something. No, this is the end. It's the end of something great. I don't even know what I'm saying. So for the synopsis, I will not tell you anything just because this is the last and final book. I am so sorry for the sound. There's so many people going by the house because, you know, it's Vietnam. There's no synopsis for this just because it's the last book, and if I tell you anything, spoilers, you know. I really enjoyed this book and I was like pretty surprised when I finished this book, and I was just like smiling, you know, because I spent like a week reading this book, and surprisingly I finished this. Oh my god, it was like gigantic. This is like at least 700 pages and I finished this on vacation. Like, are you proud of me? I had fun reading this book, and I think it's so clever that Cassandra Clare ended a series but then she started like a new one, because the characters from the Dark Artifices, they're introduced in this book when they're like really young. So this takes place in like 2007 and the Dark Artifices is taking place in 2012. So we get to see the characters 5 years before that series, you know. So we're introduced to them and it's so wonderful to learn about them and to have them in this book. So that's about it for the review. I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. Of course, the lighting is off right now. I really enjoyed this book. I was pretty satisfied with this conclusion, and that's about it for, you know, the review. Are you kidding me? So leave if you have not read this book. This is the final book of the Mortal Instruments series. But if you have read City of Heavenly Fire, let's stay so we can talk about this book. So the prologue, Emma Carstairs. We're introduced to Emma, of course, and then so many Blackthorn children. There are like 7, I believe. I could not like keep track, honestly. So let's quickly talk about Emma. So she is, you know, related to Jem Carstairs, but then in the beginning we find out that her parents are dead. So that's like a huge news because they were not in the institute, you know, like the people in the institute, like the grown-ups, they were attacked and turned into like dark shadow hunters, but Emma's parents were not there. But then at the same time they end up dead, and that scene where Emma was crying and then Helen could not do much, you know, to help her, I was like really emotional reading that scene. I was on the airplane and I had to stop crying. And I'm so glad that the Carstairs and the Blackthorns are really close. So Emma's best friend is Jules, or like Julian Blackthorn. And like I said, there are 7 Blackthorn children: Mark, Helen, Julian, Livia, Tiberius, Drusilla, and Octavian. I had to write them down because I did not remember any of them when I first read this book back in 2014. They were there, you know, like I remember the Blackthorn children, but I did not remember like their names and like what happened and such. So Mark and Helen are like different from like the other 5 children because they're a half fairy too. So the dad is, you know, Andrew Blackthorn, but then the mom is like a fairy. And then Livy and Ty are twins, and I love how all of the siblings are so loyal to each other. I think they're so wonderful. What a great family, honestly. And then of course the prologue opened up with Sebastian and like the dark shadow hunters attacking the institute in Los Angeles, and then Mr. Blackthorn and the tutor Katerina, I believe, they have been turned into dark shadow hunters. I'm so damn sorry for the sound. I hope you can tolerate that. And this part, I did not remember this part, but Emma throws a knife at Sebastian and it launches into his chest. But of course, it didn't do shit because he's alive, you know. And I was just shocked. I was like, girl, this girl is insane. This girl is 12 years old and she has like the perfect aim. So like I said, Mr. Blackthorn is being turned into like a dark shadow hunter, but Mark, he's being captured, and we're gonna talk more about that because I feel so bad for Mark Blackthorn. Then of course the children go to Idris. I'm so happy that they got away, you know, because that was pretty intense, and I have to say that was a pretty great start to the last book of TMI. Like that prologue was epic, honestly, even though it was so damn sad. Can I just say that I love all of the references to the Infernal Devices trilogy because it was amazing. I love hearing about Tessa and Jem and Will. I was so emotional every time their names pop up. Even when Jem was like really emotional about Tessa, you know, like that scene, I was like choking up because I loved them so much. And then we learned that Tessa has been in the Spiral Labyrinth for like quite a while, so she's mentioned a lot in this book, like way more than I thought, and I'm so glad that she's in this book. So Jay still has the heavenly fire in his veins, and of course it's causing issues, you know, with him and Clary. And then of course in the very beginning, everyone has to evacuate to Idris because Sebastian is attacking the Institute. In this scene, the Sealy Queen having like an affair with Sebastian, that was nasty as hell. Basically the fairies have been helping the Shadowhunters, or like the Dark Shadowhunters, and Sebastian, yeah, they betrayed a Clave. That sucks for them because that scene at the end, we'll talk more about that scene at the end, but damn, they shouldn't have done that, you know, because there's consequences. So Jordan is dead. If you don't know, Jordan is like Maya's boyfriend, but then of course that whole thing with Maya and Jordan and how like she wanted to break up with him, but then she didn't have the heart to tell him. It was a lot, and it kind of F with my emotion when I was reading this book because it is so sad, you know. He died and then she was about to break up with him, but she didn't, and now, you know, he died thinking that she loved him. It was just a mess, honestly. So Sebastian kills the Praetor Lupus, so he kills everyone in that organization. And at first I was like, why did he kill them? But it turns out that he was planning to attack the Institute in London, but he was unsuccessful. I'm pretty sure it was Jessamine Lovelace. Oh god, honestly, in the Infernal Devices trilogy, in the final book, I really, you know, felt bad for her, and in this book she redeemed herself. Oh my god, Jessamine, thank you so much for protecting the London Institute. Like, god, every time I think about the London Institute I cry. Wolsey Scott was in London and he started this organization, and that's why Sebastian wants to kill all of like the werewolves in this organization. Like, what kind of logic? I guess he's like attacking people who are allies with like the Shadowhunters, but at the same time that was just really cruel. Maya becomes the new pack leader while Luke is away, so I'm so glad that the guy Rufus, yeah, he's dead now, thank god, because he's just an asshole altogether. Like, he's just like there and yelling and shit, and then he dies, and I'm so glad for that. So there is an attack at the Adamant Citadel, and of course Brother Zachariah is Jem again, and I was so emotional at that part because it was just crazy. I mean, like, I knew it was coming, you know, because I read this book before, but then also that damn epilogue in Clockwork Princess. But man, just seeing Jem again, but this time a healthy Jem, a Jem that's not sick and not coughing. Can I just say that how it's so ridiculous that this is the 6th book of TMI, the final book, the 6th book, and Simon is still not eating? Seriously, in this book he's mentioned that he's hungry and that he needs blood, and I'm just here like, have you learned anything from the 4th book, the 5th book, especially the 4th book? I mean, come on, Simon, you need to feed, you need food. So Meliorn, this bastard, he kidnaps Luke, Jocelyn, Magnus, and Raphael, you know, because he's a fairy and he's the bad guy. And then finally the gang knows that the Sealy Queen is on Sebastian's side. I mean, they overheard her, and a part of me is just like, how do you get away with just standing there and hearing everything? Because I thought like the queen knows everything that's in her court, you know. I'm just saying, how did they get away with like eavesdropping? So it turns out that Meliorn could lie because he's like a half fairy. Alec kills him. He's dead immediately. Like, Alec literally just like kills him with no hesitation too. But then Mark, poor Mark Blackthorne, is part of the WoW hunt, and he's being lied to the whole entire time that his family is dead. So of course that's why he joins the WoW hunt, and of course I know that he regrets that now, you know, because his family is alive. But I don't blame him at all because he was being lied to. See, the thing is, Mark has done so many amazing things in this book. I mean, like the fact that he's part of the WoW hunt, and you can tell that he's like genuinely upset, but then of course he sends like a message to the council saying that the fairies are your enemies. The fairies betrayed the Clave. The fairies are on Sebastian's side. So the gang goes to Edom. I think that's how you call it. It's basically hell. Now, this conversation between Alec and Jace, I don't even remember what they even talk about, but I love their conversation. I'm so glad that we have this intimate moment between these two characters because they're parabati. Even though we heavily focus on Jem and Will in the other series, I feel like we rarely have like a really nice moment between Alec and Jace. I'm so glad we had that moment. I really like Alec in this book, and I'm so glad that he's cool, you know, because in the last book he was definitely not cool. So when they're in hell, Chase is so reckless. Like there's this scene, you know, and he wants this thing, I don't, what's it called, a weapon from the statue basically, and of course Simon says no, don't do that, it's a trap. Chase does not listen to him, and of course it ends up being a trap. And Isabel, she was about to die. Like that scene where the demon bites her, I gasped so loudly because I did not remember this much. But anyway, she was about to die, and then Simon does his thing, he saves her basically. So Chase and Clary have sex in hell, which I think is hilarious. I mean, I'm glad that there's, you know, a condom involved. I'm so glad that they use protection to have sex. And also Isabel and Simon are together. Hooray! Yay! So Sebastian's army is attacking Alicante, and of course all of the children are in this space together. A part of me is like, you know what, that's like a decent plan, you know, that evacuation plan where like the children had to be together, but at the same time you're literally putting all the bait in one place, and if the enemies can get into that space, all the bait is screwed. I feel so bad for Julian because he has to kill his own dad. I was so emotional with that scene because Tiberius screamed at Julian saying that he hates him because like he's like about to go to his dad. I cannot imagine what Julian is going through in Lady Midnight because, you know, he killed his dad. Like even though his dad is evil and there's no way for him to be normal again. So Clary kills Sebastian with the knife, you know, the knife that has heavenly fire. That was a really great plan. Jonathan is back. That scene was just really emotional because, you know, he's like a good guy. But then we're stuck in hell, and of course Magnus has to get his dad involved, and of course the damn dad takes Simon's memories away. I was just crying even though I know what happens at the end, you know. The last chapter before the epilogue, this chapter pissed me off because of course the clave fucks it up again. They're generally the worst. Like I know that they're trying to do the right thing, but seriously they suck at it. The fairies are now being mistreated by the clave. I mean, like the rules are just so harsh. They are no longer protected under the Accords. So of course if like they die or some shit, I don't know, something happened to them, the Shadowhunters cannot help them at all. They can't even bear arms. That's like the part that shocks me the most. I mean, like the way they describe it in the book is like insanely harsh. Like if Shadowhunters find fairies bearing arms, they will kill them. Like how crazy is that? That's just really harsh. Even I can say that, damn, that rule is just too much. Even though they're the bad guys, I know that they effed it up so badly, you know, because they betrayed a clave. They joined Sebastian, but then of course they lost when Sebastian died. Still, that rule was just too much. And oh my god, don't even get me started on Helen and Mark. I felt so bad for them. I felt so bad for the entire family because now that Andrew is gone, the mom has passed away, Helen and Mark are like the two oldest, you know, children. They're like being sent away. Like Helen is being sent to Ringo Island. They're literally abandoning Mark Blackthorn to the wild hunt. Like that damn promise that Gia Penhallow made with with Julian and Emma, that's a damn lie. Even like Gia admitted at the end, like, you know, she had to do what she had to do. Like how dare you make that promise and not keep it? Like what the hell? So the epilogue, the wedding is in the epilogue. Tessa and Jem are there. I'm so happy to see them. Simon remembers some things, and of course he's going to ascend, so he's going to be a shadow hunter at the end, and I'm so glad for that. I am so excited to read Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. I'm glad that at the end Chase is like a Herondale. I'm so glad that everyone has their own ending in some way. Like Jem and Tessa are getting married, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that is it for City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. I cannot believe I finished this series. Like, are you proud of me? I'm proud of myself, you know. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.